Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
All right. Hello. Welcome to another couple of flicks. I'm Tristan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
So have either of you watched anything recently?
Right before we started recording, I finished Men in Black International.
How was it?
Oh, fun.
It was okay.
Have you seen all the other ones? Or
Yeah, it's definitely not the best of the series, but it was okay.
yeah, I only saw the first one. So
I saw the first two. I like those.
yeah,
Didn't have any interest in seeing that third one.
yeah, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, don't bother. The last two.
What about you?
I saw The Babysitter on Netflix. It's a Netflix movie. Have you seen
That's a
it?
good one.
I have not seen that one.
It's a good one, yeah. It's like a horror trope, like a slasher trope comedy,
Oh, good.
but it's done really well.
Yeah.
It's super funny, and I like it a lot. Yeah,
Was-
remind me a lot of like Cabin in the Woods. That same kind of tropey feel, like it hits on purpose all the
Oh, cool.
slasher film tropes. But
Yeah. And it's a comedy? Or-
yeah, most comedy. Yeah,
Okay. Is that the
Comedy
one
horror.
that was directed by Mick G? Or I can't
I'm
remember.
not
I
sure.
think so, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. So, I saw the most recent Noah Baumbach film, Marriage Story, which is on Netflix. But I actually didn't watch it on Netflix. I actually saw it in the theater. So I was, because I don't know. I was told that, I guess somebody I know had seen it like in the theater and had seen it, and I had seen it on Netflix, and he said that like seeing it in the theater felt different to him. So I was like, I guess I'll see it in the theater because I kind of want to. I don't know. I do like to support those kinds of films, like whenever I get the opportunity. So.
Yeah.
But I know that that's not really necessarily easy for everybody to do, and so it's on Netflix. So, and it's definitely worth watching. I really liked it. So,
Okay. What was it
Okay.
called?
Marriage Story.
Oh, okay. I think I saw.
I didn't even know that was coming out. Like, I like his films, and I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's his newest film. It's definitely like really good. I mean, he's got a lot of great films, and yeah, this one's definitely one of them. So it's got like Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver and Laura Dern, and
Ooh.
it's got a good cast, and it's very well made, very emotional. Just it's a great film. So
Nice.
Okay.
Well, while we're on the subject of Netflix, I watched The Irishman as well.
oh, nice,
Ooh.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that as well.
I haven't gotten to see it yet.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Definitely not Scorsese's best, but
yeah, I liked it a lot. But I would agree it's not one of his best. I wouldn't even say it's the best film he's made this decade.
yep.
I thought both Hugo and Silence were better films. So. But I still like The Irishman.
Yeah, the de-aging just, it distracted me.
Yeah, same. It was not that great. I'd have to say like the de-aging effects that they use in like Marvel movies and like other films recently, I worked better in my opinion than the
Yeah.
de-aging effects in The Irishman. Like they did.
Kind of could be made sense more easily because it just looked a lot of that stuff just looks glossy anyway.
I agree. Yeah. Like it's not horrible. It's pretty good for the most part, but there's just certain parts like you could tell like the lighting and there's just something that just looks off about it, and yeah, it's just like you said, it doesn't quite work as perfectly as it should. So, but I like that he tried it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, when the scenes, like the youngest scenes with Robert De Niro looked like he was a video game character.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty weird.
Yeah.
Good plot though, you know.
Yeah. It
And,
made me wish Joe Pesci acted more. Like he didn't retire.
Joe Pesci was my favorite thing about it, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, Joe Pesci is an amazing actor. I kind of, I've never quite understood why he like sort of quit acting. I guess he just wasn't into acting. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it is kind of funny because so I rewatched Home Alone recently, like because it'd been a while since I seen it, and I was like, why don't I give it another chance, you know? And yeah, I don't know. I just for some reason I still don't like it very much, but I did think it was very interesting how because I read I guess after I watched it, like I was with a group of people and somebody who like because I watched it with a group of people, and one of the people I watched it with said that he told me that for when they were making the sequel, I guess Joe Pesci didn't want to do it, and so to convince him to make it, they like sent like a truck full of money to his house.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So he got
Must be
paid
nice.
like really a lot of money to make that sequel, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so should we get started? Or...
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go with my choice first, which was a movie made in 1980, I think, or early 80s, called Terror on Tour. And the reason I chose this one was because I'm into the idea of a horror film taking place at a or at a rock concert. Like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like like a rock concert would be a cool place for a murder mystery or like a slasher movie to occur. If it were like following a bunch of people who go to a concert or something and then people start getting killed. I don't know. I thought that that's kind of what the film was going to be. It was actually really more about the backstage stuff, which I didn't really expect it to be that way, but it was. And it was pretty much it was a murder mystery that or a murder slasher that took place sort of in the backstage areas of this one particular venue that this band kept on playing at. And so yeah, it wasn't exactly what I expected it to be. It was a lot bleaker than I thought it was going to be too, and cheaper. And you know, for the most part, like I wasn't crazy about it personally. I thought that the stuff with the band, like it mostly, like when it wasn't about people getting killed, it was pretty much mostly just about the band's issues, and like they all like were pretty much just it was kind of like they were a band that was sort of taking off almost, I guess. I don't know, but everybody was sleazy. None of the characters were likable. Pretty much all the female characters were like prostitutes or drug addicts. And actually pretty much the same could be said for all the characters, really. So really the most interesting aspect of it is the fact that the characters are getting killed. So,
Yep.
and the death scenes I liked. You know, I thought
Yeah.
as it went along, it got better. Toward the end, it started to get a little bit more interesting when the characters were starting to get killed off like faster. And it ended on a pretty downbeat note, which I appreciated because
Just kind of ended.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I figured I'd give it a shot. I don't know anybody else who'd seen it. But it was a horror film that I'd heard about, and that was my choice. So, what were your thoughts?
I mean, for the most part, I had no idea what was going on. like I didn't even notice like a plot really until like I know like the 50-minute mark. I was like, oh, I like blinked and it was 50 minutes in. I was like, wait, all I was noticing was just them playing music and people dying.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing, oh wait, they're actually talking to each other and doing stuff now. And I also was just confused. All of them looked the same, not even out of makeup. So I was kind of confused on which character was who part of the time, especially when they started dressing up in their costume.
Yeah.
Which I guess was kind of the mystery of who's the killer. But it's still, even out of makeup, I was confused most of the time.
All of them look skinny and pale and greasy, and they all have dark hair. So it's hard to tell them all apart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the lighting was horrible too.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I was just say, it was especially hard to see because I was watching a shitty rip on YouTube.
Same.
Yeah, so was I, yeah.
Same. Apparently, like the VHS tape of this film, because it's never been released on DVD. The VHS tape of it apparently goes for a lot of money. Like, it's apparently pretty expensive.
Yeah,
so
I imagine so.
Yeah, so I'm actually thankful that it was uploaded to YouTube, because I don't want to. I would probably feel kind of bummed out if I ended up paying like a large amount of money for a VHS tape of a film that was not super good.
Yeah.
Like you said, the lighting was pretty poor.
Mm-hmm.
Although in a way, it kind of added to the ambience and the bleakness. You know, and the sleazy sort of, it's like the idea of these people who are so gross and so fringe that they can't even afford good lights, you know, in their green room.
I mean, I got that, but I also felt like it was also cheap, because you can do bad lighting in a good way.
Agreed.
And I just felt it was cheap, just not having any lighting.
Yeah, I agree.
I was wondering why they played the same venue like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
and then what was up with some of the rooms back there?
Yeah.
I was confused because I didn't even really realize they were playing the same venue, except they kept going back to that murder room.
Oh yeah.
So I was confused, like, why is this murder room in every venue they're going to?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Apparently it was just the same venue over and over.
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to a little bit more of the plot that I forgot to mention, is that this band, so it's following this band called the Clowns, I think it's called the Clowns. Yeah.
Clowns.
And it's a sort of a novelty like shock rock band, where they have sort of stage theatrics where they're
poor man's Guar.
Yeah, basically a poor man's, like kind of like what Alice Cooper used to do, or bands like that, Kiss, and where they'll like slaughter dummies on stage, or have like people like plants in the crowd who get up on stage and then like get mutilated or something, but not like for real. So that kind of adds to the confusion of who's killing people, because like, yeah, like there's the owner of the venue who didn't seem to like the band all that much, which is why I was a little puzzled that he kept letting them play there. Because all he mostly was doing was complaining about how trashy they were. And then like at one point, like once the killings start, he even kind of blames it on them and says, oh, it must be some crowd member taking their thrills a little too seriously or something like that. And so that they kind of throw that in to add to the confusion of it as to who the killer could be, which doesn't really matter who the killer is, because you don't really know. Like, it's hard to even remember who these characters are or what their names were. And
I had no idea what any of the names were.
And to be honest, like, I'm not even 100% sure who the killer, what, like at the end of the movie when the twist happens and you find out who the killer was, I'm actually not totally sure who that was.
I thought it was like their manager or something.
Yeah, I thought.
That's what I thought too, but then like I thought it might have also been that one guy who got booted.
That's who I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought who it was going to be, but he was younger, I want to say, than the revealed killer.
I only thought it was him just because he had the same hair, but
I mean they all had the same hair.
Yeah.
Even that old dude, it was like, yeah, in 10 years those guys will have that hair.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. The movie tries to have a plot. Eventually there's sort of sort of subplot involving this one particular call girl who goes undercover. Although really the only thing that makes it undercover is the fact that a police officer is like sort of goading her into it, and so she sort of gets involved in the whole thing to find out who the killer is. But she's not a cop, and it's not like it's not like they gave her any weapons or anything like that she could have used to take him down. The guy was just like, here, go find out who this guy is, and just kind of threw her into the lion's den.
Yeah.
The characters have drug problems. They're all pretty miserable. Yeah. Not a whole lot of great stuff going on, but I liked watching people die, even though there weren't that many death scenes. And when it did happen, it was usually pretty brief and all that, but
there's a couple one-liners before the kills too.
Yeah. Which I don't even remember what they were.
There was one I wrote down. It's just the one where she's like, "You're next," and he's like, "No, you're next."
Oh, I do actually remember that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What did you think of the music? Or should I say, what did you think of the song? Because it sounded like they were playing the same song again and again. I mean, unless they were playing different songs that all sounded similar.
Yeah, was it original? It sounded a lot like Kiss.
Yeah. Well, according to the opening credits, it's by an actual band, but I don't know. It's probably a band that might have been a ripoff of Kiss.
I couldn't tell if it was like shitty quality of the, what we saw on YouTube, but like I could not understand the vocals at all. Like it could have been a shitty, audio rip, but I couldn't understand a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely an 80s movie. So I know I say that a lot, but this one in particular.
Their drug of choice is Quaaludes.
Yeah. I mean, that pretty much says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am still curious. I still do want to see more horror movies that take place in the music industry, though, or at rock venues, or are about music bands or something like that. I feel like there's material there that hasn't quite been tapped as much as it could be, and I'd like to see more of those. I think that's
liked Green Room.
Something I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Green Room is much better.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend that one. Yeah. Green Room is great. So, and that's similar Bleak film too. But yeah.
I'll say another one is Deathgasm.
Oh yeah.
I've heard of that one.
I have it. You've heard of it?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's good.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I have it. I'm gonna probably check that one out at some point. I'm actually surprised I haven't watched it yet. Actually, I don't even know why did I choose to watch this before Deathgasm. That was silly of me.
I mean, those are the only like two more that I can think of.
Yeah. Let's see, what got me thinking about, because I saw the Rolling Stones documentary, Give Me Shelter, which is about the disaster that was the Altamont Free concert where they hired the Hells Angels as security, and it unfortunately resulted in the death of someone. Actually, it was a death that ended up being caught on camera, and it's in the documentary. And so when I watched that documentary, I was kind of like, I was really shocked, and I was just kind of also thinking like, this, like if this weren't a documentary, it would be a horror movie. And yeah, I feel like there's something. Oh, I don't know if this counts, but it takes place at at sort of like a Woodstock festival. Was and it wasn't that good a movie, but The Tripper. Did you ever see that?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's that one sort of counts, I guess. But that's a little too much of a comedy though for me. Like that one I didn't think was all that scary. So.
Was that the one with like Jason Mewes was in it? David Arquette?
Yeah. It has Lucas Haas. I think Paul Rubens is in it. and Pastor La Huerta, who I actually don't really like her very much as an actress, but she's in it.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Terror on Tour, I guess it was worth a shot, but I don't know. I wasn't super impressed by it.
Nah. Nah, I was bored most of it.
Yeah. Overall, what were your thoughts overall?
That was okay slasher. I
Yeah.
mean, I definitely think if it was a little better quality, I would have kind of enjoyed it more, but
Yeah.
overall it was decent.
It's possible that it's one of those movies that if it were given like a decent restoration, it'd probably be a little bit easier to follow.
Yeah, or even if I had the VHS.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, that would probably, because YouTube, there is sort of a loss of information from watching stuff that's sort of been like that's already not in the greatest quality and then is digitized, like,
Yeah.
So that's noteworthy, or that's something to note. But anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I think I'd give it a 2 as well, just because I did like the murder scenes, and I did like the last 10 to 15 minutes of that. I liked the kind of momentum that was going on there, and how like there was like this, which you see it in a million horror movies, of course, but where the murderer is stalking somebody, and meanwhile it's showing something else that's happening with the concert. And like, I liked the attempt that they had to draw out the suspense. It wasn't super effective, but I still kind of enjoyed it on that level. So
I'm gonna just give it a 1, I guess. I was just bored throughout. I didn't find too much enjoyment out of it in many ways. Just kind of a blah film mostly.
yeah. It's probably the kind of movie where if you're not super into it, like, and I never recommend people really do this, because I'm kind of more of a purist, I guess, when it comes to this sort of thing. But it is totally the kind of movie that you could fast forward to and get the whole plot. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a tremendous amount going on as far as dialogue or characters.
Yep.
But that's Terror on Tour.
All right. So Galaxy Invader next. This was my choice. No real reason why I chose it. It just looked interesting. And I mean, I read the synopsis going into, and I thought it would be more of a comedy. Just because it said a group of rednecks hunt down an alien. So I thought, oh, it's like might be more comedic than it played out real straight, I feel. Like there wasn't that much levity in it as far as I thought this would be. Especially with the green man in a rubber suit, whatever. Like thought it was going to be a bit more comedic than it was. But I was actually surprised. I was actually well entertained throughout it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the acting was, of course, something to be, could have been better.
Yeah.
But
it left a lot to be desired.
Yeah. But yeah, it's about an alien, it opens up with a meteor or, whatever they think is a meteor crashing down, and some kid calls his professor up that's big into aliens, and he's like, oh my God, I'll be there 6 hours.
It's a very wholesome, like,
right? Yeah. It's just like some college professor he had back in the day is an alien expert. So that's like, there's 2 plots of them, and then the next plot is their, the family of rednecks that find the alien, and
hijinks ensue.
I guess hijinks ensue, yeah. Like they eventually, like they have like some rich money bucks dude. I don't know. He was like so cartoonishly, just like how he acted and everything. I was willing to like. He wanted to rile up the townsfolk, so they go to the bar, rile up the town. They go hunting for the alien, and it murders most of them. It just annihilates like half the town in that one scene where they were just shooting fucking Roman candles at each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's basically just the redneck dad. Oh, and by the way, that family was weird as hell.
Yeah.
Like that son, he looked as old as his dad, basically.
Yeah.
Were you like 12 when you had this JJ or whatever his name was?
I mean, they are very the father is like the worst kind of person. I mean, he's completely insane. I mean, within 2 minutes, he's chasing his daughter down with a gun.
Oh yeah, that was
trying to kill her.
But yeah. That was just fucking. Oh, what the fuck is going on?
That was
here?
messed up. You know,
she was like, she's 25, and the mom was like, let her date this dude. He's a nice kid.
I know.
Guy.
He's like,
no, fuck that. He fucking whips out a shotgun and starts chasing her down.
Yeah.
He even says, I'm gonna blow her head off. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Like, he's not kidding. You know, like.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He's like upset. His daughter is like ready to kind of go out on her own, and he's still not letting her leave. You know, he'd rather she be dead. You know, which, to be fair, I mean, Bruce Willis chased Ben Affleck around with a gun at the beginning of the movie Armageddon for dating Liv Tyler. So, you know, Bruce Willis isn't any better, I guess.
I guess. Yeah. But I guess it was because because there was actually a lot of plot that they actually put in, because it was, I guess, that drunken dad had a fight with her boyfriend's father or whatever, and that was the reason why he didn't want them dating.
Yeah.
But the daughter was like, no, fuck you. It was all your fault. Yeah. You're the asshole here.
And the guy that she's dating seems like probably one of the only reasonable people in the movie.
Yeah, he's like, come on, let's call the cops.
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
I know.
It was no reason why not. They're just like, no.
That would have been nobody in this movie ever calls the police on anyone.
Right.
You know, and that actually wouldn't have been a bad idea because a lot of people got killed. I mean,
yeah. It was so fucking funny. And so then, like, they eventually capture the alien, but those two, the kid and his professor, break it out.
Yeah.
And
rescue it, and it's just kind of chilling with them for the most part. Yeah.
And and that weapon they had. There were the orb and the gun. They were blasting people. So they figured out how to use it, and
that was
like,
funny.
We need to get it back. If we give it back to the alien, he'll probably let us go.
Always the optimistic, you know.
Right? But it turned out that I guess the alien was a good guy. I don't really know.
You never really. I mean,
because honestly, the alien takes the back seat to the whole fucking film.
Yeah. It's pretty much, the whole movie's really more about like these people and their screwed up problems with each other, trying to like what to do with this alien, you know, who's, like you said, mostly just chilling.
Yeah, because once they rescue him, he doesn't do much except until he gets like at the very end, like when he murders the Moneybucks guy.
Oh yeah.
And then shit, and that's and the alien dies there too, right? Yeah.
What'd you think of the I don't, and spoilers, I guess, but what'd you think of the death scene of the dad?
It was so
funny.
Probably I loved it.
Yeah, that was my favorite scene.
That wasn't even like a rag doll. That was like just a towel they threw over a fucking cliff.
Yeah.
They couldn't even afford a $5 rag doll.
Yeah. I guess not.
But that is one thing I thought was good about the movie, is that family dynamic.
Yeah.
Like if they were better written a little and acted better, it would have been an interesting story of this fucked up family with this fucked up dad, and finally the mom and the kids rise up and just fucking take him out because he's a psycho drunk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's an alcoholic, and he's like, and he at one point like goes after this woman, like this one particular girl, And
oh yeah, that Trish or
Yeah.
Trixie or whatever. He kills her, doesn't
yeah,
he?
yeah,
Yeah.
he tries to, get with her. She flees, and so he shoots her
Yeah.
with the ray gun, I might add. Like,
Oh yeah. Fucking ray gun.
yeah. Yeah, as I was watching this, like, because there were a couple parts in it that felt like familiar to me. Like, I remembered something about like an orb with an alien, and I remember like something about a bunch of townspeople getting blasted by the alien. So I think that I may have actually seen this movie before, but I don't remember it. But I just remember those two parts were wicked familiar to me though. And so this might have been a movie that I watched when I was like a lot younger and just don't, because my dad used to show me all kinds of weird stuff, and this might have been one of those. And I remember that because I used to get pretty captivated by stuff like this pretty easily back then. And, now that I'm an adult and I've seen a lot of more movies and seen a lot of bad movies and stuff like that, like I can recognize that this movie's, pretty rough around the edges.
Oh yeah.
But somehow I was still captivated by it. I still wanted to know what happened. And in the end, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, what were your thoughts?
It was bad, but enjoyable.
Yeah. It was pretty bad.
I kept waiting for the dad to die because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
and you knew he was going to.
yeah, just waiting for it. But I was not expecting how he died, but it was great.
I mean, pretty much the only real reason to watch the movie is to see how he dies. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, his death scene kind of makes it all worth it. So
Yeah.
So I mean, personally, I would give this movie 2 out of 5 just for his death scene alone. I mean, that made the movie for me. So.
I mean, I'm gonna give it a 3. Honestly, I thought it had some good gems in there that it could be made into a decent movie.
Yeah.
Like the one idea that I had was like do a Tucker and Dale versus Evil type like if you're going with the redneck situation, like have a comedy of just Tucker, like make that the sequel, like fucking them going against an alien or some shit. And then,
I mean, I'm not for remakes, but if they did a Tucker and Dale style remake of this, that would actually be really cool.
Yeah, and the other remake idea I had of this would be like a 10 Cloverfield Lane kind of idea.
Yeah.
Where like, those two, the kid and the professor, go and trying to investigate, and then they're lured in by those rednecks and then held captive. And then as they try to break out, they fucking find the alien on accident and the shit goes insane.
Yeah.
Those are my two remake ideas for the movie.
I mean, both sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd watch both of those.
Yeah, dude. Why aren't you in Hollywood?
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Fly me out there.
Yeah.
So I also gave it a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Probably. I probably would watch it again at some point. Probably not anytime soon, but like in the future, if I were with some friends who wanted to watch something that's shitty and cheesy, this would be a pretty decent one, I think. Like, yeah. I mean, I think I'd probably. I mean, yeah. I'd probably watch it again. So.
I know it has a Riff Tracks live DVD of this, like Mystery Science Theater guys.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I want to watch it again, but with that.
Yeah, I might do that.
Oh wow, yeah, good idea. Because there are some movies that are better with the Riff Tracks or the Mystery Science Theater 3000, commentary. Like Manos, The Hands of Fate. Like I can't imagine watching that without them talking during it. I just can't.
Yeah.
So. All right, Galaxy Invader. So now your choice.
Yeah. So it's December, so I chose Christmas movie.
Ooh.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Yeah.
So did either of you watch the first one?
No.
I've seen it
Alright.
before. So
Okay.
So, yeah. No, I wanted to. You can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, you don't really need to see the first one anymore.
Yeah,
first-
I got that. I was
Yeah.
like,
The
I get
first
what's going on here.
pretty much all the
first
important
30 minutes
scenes.
were the first movie.
Were there actual scenes in this from the first
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah.
Everything that wasn't him talking in that interrogation room or whatever was the first movie.
Are you serious?
Like all the flashback scenes were from the first film.
How
Yeah.
lazy is that?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So
Wow.
and for those who don't know, like the first movie, the first Silent Night, Deadly Night movie was this controversial movie that came out in the 80s about this kid Billy who, his grandfather who's insane says some messed up stuff to him about Santa Claus, and then on the way home, his family, his parents, I should say, not his entire family, but his parents are slaughtered by this crooked criminal who happens to be dressed as Santa Claus. So this kid, Billy, he gets put in an orphanage run by a bunch of nuns, and one particular nun, Sister Christie or something like that, who is highly, highly abusive and basically re-traumatizes him again and again by making him like sit on Santa's lap and making him do like Santa illustrate, like basically just like the most evil kind of person you can ever imagine, like even worse than the drunk guy from Galaxy Invader in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I've never been super big, I've never really been much of a fan of the first movie just because like it's so sleazy. And also like one of the things I remember distinctly not liking about it was the fact that the character who you want to see get killed doesn't die at the end. Like the whole film, the film, it's a really pretty gross movie in a number of different ways. And one of the ways it's pretty horrible is how it makes you pretty much sympathize completely with the killer by making him essentially like this victim who the sight of Santa Claus is or being forced to be dressed up as Santa Claus, which it's enough to set him off and turn him into a psychopath. And then, his one goal is to kill the source of all of his misery. And right when he's about to do it, he gets shot and killed by the police. So that's the first one.
Mm.
But he's got a brother.
Huh.
Yeah.
So was the brother shown in the first one then at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like a throwaway character, but
Oh, or was he? Set up.
yeah.
They were planning.
Turns out they're setting up for the sequel.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to try to describe the second movie?
Sure. So 40 minutes later into the second movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so basically he's talking to is he in like in a sanitarium or something? I'm not exactly sure where he was.
I think he was getting some kind of psychological evaluation.
So like
Because he
psych
like
ward.
yeah. And then
Right.
he ends up, well, I won't spoil what happens. Yeah.
So basically the first 40 minutes is him retelling the first one.
Yep.
And then he kills the guy who's in questioning him. And basically just goes on another killing spree randomly.
Yeah. A much quicker one, but
Yeah, much quicker.
I will say that one thing that just made me laugh was how cheesy that interrogation shit was. Like, they were just bad acting, and then like,
his lines.
and every time the fucking reel went out, it was like supposed to be dramatic, but it was like a cheesy knockoff of some like detective or whatever,
Oh,
like a noir film.
The fadeaways.
Yeah, like you're trying too hard, and you don't have the actors to pull this shit off.
Yeah. And the way he narrates his past.
Yeah.
It's so dramatic and intense. You won't know what's coming.
Yep.
It's literally how he talks throughout the entire
Yeah.
movie. It's just like that.
And his first line is, "Fuck off, Doc."
Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everyone has seen the Garbage Day clip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's E-famous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
This movie's E-famous.
So
I didn't
that's where this comes from.
I didn't know that.
When you saw Ricky, did you recognize him as the Garbage Day Man?
No, I didn't at
Oh,
all. I
okay.
just recognized. I was like, oh, right when it happened.
Yeah. Might actually be like the thing that this film is most well known for now is that clip. So
Yeah, definitely. I guess we can skip right to the end then.
yeah,
After
I guess
that.
so. Because I mean, I'll tell you the movie lost me almost immediately when I realized that at least half the film was just going to be footage of the first film anyway. But then like what really made me just drop off of it completely is when he goes to a theater and he's with his girlfriend.
Fucking dumb.
And they show footage from the first film is playing in the theater.
Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
that was from the, and that's when I was just like, I'm
blown
done.
away here. Because I came in and was not knowing anything,
Yeah.
so I was just like, okay.
yeah. I checked out.
I just thought it was stupidly cheesy that they're showing. Oh, it's a movie about a killer Santa. I was like, okay, that's
Yeah.
fucking cheesy.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. And
That was one thing I kept having problems with. Is it was very coincidental every single time that they had, triggers or whatever. It was
Yeah.
like, okay, like the kids kept walking into people having sex and or getting sexually assaulted, and I was like, how often does that happen? Really, like
Yeah.
Well-
happens, but how often does somebody walk into it?
in the world of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
like every other hour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think there was this one time where some red velvets triggered the kid. I was like,
That was-
oh Jesus.
Yeah.
That was such a stretch. And to make matters worse, like the footage they show from the first film, like it isn't even from the uncut version, because when the film was originally released in the theater, it was edited to avoid an X rating, and that's all that people had back then was that. So when you get to the second movie, and you're familiar with the uncut version, which I am, that makes it even more dissatisfying, because now you don't see any of the throat rippings or the disembowelings or anything like that. Like one of the only cool things about the first film was the gore, and they don't even have that in this movie. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
He had like super strength and shit or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that umbrella kill.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
He's like
I liked it.
4 feet up in the air, just shoves a fucking umbrella in it.
The death scenes were funny. I'll give it that. The death
Yeah.
scenes were hysterical.
Yeah.
You could like just choke people out with one arm,
Yeah.
like holding them up.
So the ending, which is the part that everybody is probably most looking forward to, because you already know he's going to go after the same person that the character in the first film did.
That
You
none,
know?
right?
Yeah,
So
they-
that's okay.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense
Yeah.
because I was confused why she was in a wheelchair and had half her face burned or something. So
It wasn't the same actress. They chose a
No.
different actress for the role.
Yeah.
It's like they were trying to make this even less
Wait.
satisfying than
But-
they possibly could. Like,
But did she like get burned or anything in the first movie?
no.
They said she had a stroke, and that's apparently what that means to people.
Oh, okay. A stroke will burn your face off.
Yeah, and change you to look like a completely different person who looks nothing. She didn't even have the same height. Like,
Well, she was in a wheelchair.
she was, but like,
You could
but
tell
you could even
she's-
tell. You could tell that her arms were smaller, her legs were smaller. She was like a lot older than the woman in the first film was. Like,
I honestly
Yeah.
had no idea because of how distracting the face was.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, what the fuck happened to her? Did I miss something?
I don't know. They shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have recast the role, because like or if they recast the role, they should have changed the footage, the flashback footage, to make that actress play that particular character, just so that you would at least have
Yeah.
some kind of because then they show her and she looks nothing like her, and it's like, what the hell are we even doing here? Like,
I don't know.
yeah,
So there was no. I mean, besides a stroke,
yeah.
she had just a bubbly face for a stroke.
I guess.
Maybe that was their attempt at covering up that they changed the actress.
It
Maybe.
had to be. I think it had to be.
I guess so.
It
was
fooled me.
It was a good try.
It completely fooled me. But
I'm glad.
that's because I didn't know any of this first movie.
Yeah. Well, it didn't fool it didn't fool me, but having said that, I've seen the first Silent Night Deadly Night movie like a few times, to be honest. Yeah. And so like naturally I'm gonna like notice things like that when I watch, which I'd actually seen this sequel before, but I wanted to watch it again just because you chose, and also because like I was kind of looking forward to it anyway because it is pretty funny, honestly.
The first time I watched it right after the first one, so I was like, "Are you fucking serious?"
That's hilarious.
Fast forward.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know.
I was hoping you didn't do that, so
yeah. Yeah, it makes sense, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2, the misadventures of Ricky.
And there's 4 more of those movies.
There's 6 total then, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Although
this is like the 6th one, 30 seconds of original footage.
Although at some point those movies stop being related to each other and stop following like the same storyline. Like I think it was like either the 3rd one or the 4th film. They just went in a totally different direction with it and started making it more like fantasy oriented and like all this other stuff. And
I've only seen these first 2.
Yeah. Yeah. They just get weirder and weirder. I mean, and I never saw the remake or whatever it was. Was it a remake?
Very loosely.
Okay.
But
yeah, it's just called Silent Night.
Yeah, that one's decent. That director actually went to the same film school I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Who directed that one? Was it
Stephen C. Miller?
Oh, okay.
He did on Under the Bed.
Okay. I've seen anything. I don't know. His name's sort of. I don't know. I know a lot of something Millers, so who knows?
Yeah.
Like as far as filmmakers go, like or Steve something. So I don't know if I know Steve Miller though. But.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, cool.
I gave that one a 2 as well.
Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2, or
yeah.
All right. What would you give?
Okay. So going into this, I was expecting to be confused because it was a sequel, and I wasn't at all. I followed it. It was a pretty straightforward plot. I followed it, so I was a little disappointed that it just wasn't confusing and crazy. So I was gonna give it a 1 just because it was whatever. But this new information that it was half the first movie, it blows my mind. I'm giving it a 3.
I'd have to give it I think I'm gonna give it a 1, just because, like, for me, it's just barely a movie. I mean, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was funny, but like, honestly, like, it's kind of a piece of crap.
Yeah, I only give it a 2 because of some of the kills. That's basically the only redeeming quality.
Yeah, I would agree. The kill scenes are, like I said before, the thing with the electricity in the mouth, like where the guy's like or whatever, like that was so funny.
Just a rubber head too.
Yeah.
And his eyes popped.
Yeah. What did you think of the death of the nun, the evil nun, the sister Mary, whatever, Christy, whatever?
I thought her falling down the stairs was hilarious for some reason.
That was funny. Yeah, that was pretty funny, I must admit. I don't know if it was intended to be, but
probably not. It took him like 2 minutes to get the axe out of the wheelchair.
Yeah. Damn. Well. So, Silent Night Deadly Night Part 2, which was a Christmas movie. And now we're going to choose some more Christmas movies. Yeah. So, anybody have a choice who wants to go first or anything?
I am choosing A Christmas Story 2.
There's a sequel?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Isn't Daniel Stern the dad in that one?
I have no. I tried watching it, I think maybe didn't like MTV produce it or something.
Probably.
Probably.
I tried watching it. I couldn't get past like the title card. I was like, no, because like the first one's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
And just like I couldn't get past the first like 5 minutes. I turned it straight the fuck off. I was like, no, but I'm willing to give it another shot for this.
Cool.
Mine's a horror movie.
All right.
I choose Elves from 1989.
All right. Cool. All right. And
Nice.
I think I've heard of that one.
I'm not exactly sure what it is. I'm assuming it's Killer Elves, but
Maybe.
I was either gonna choose that or Jack Frost.
Yeah.
The horror one. I forget.
Yeah.
There's that horror one and the not family one. Right?
the Michael Keaton, Jack
Yeah.
Frost, and there's the one that doesn't have Michael Keaton in it.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, they both blend together
Yeah.
here.
Well, pop quiz. Which one has a sequel?
The horror one.
Yeah. I was gonna choose. Originally, I was gonna choose Christmas Evil for two reasons. One, because it's a horror movie about a killer Santa Claus that was made before Silent Night, Deadly Night, and two, I like it more as a movie. but I'm not gonna choose that one. I'm gonna go with Rare Exports.
Okay, I've been wanting to see that one.
Perfect. Well, now's your chance.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Elves, and then Christmas Story 2,
Yep.
and Rare Exports. All right. Well, until then, peace and Godspeed.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah. Oh, and like and subscribe too.
Oh yeah. Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, please. Bye.